Okay, everyone, today we're going to learn about glaze, what it is, and how to use it. We're also going to glaze our very own ceramic pieces today. So glaze is a material that looks a lot like paint, but it's made out of silica. Silica is an element from the earth that actually turns into glass when heated, like when it gets cooked in the kiln, right? People glaze their ceramic pieces for a few different reasons: for decoration, to add color, or to waterproof the piece to make it a useful item, like a cup or a plate. One awesome bonus of glaze is that it turns your ceramic piece into a beautiful, shiny work of art after it gets cooked in the kiln again. Some people who are making a lot of ceramics at once dip their pieces into large buckets of glaze called a glaze bath. Since we are just making one very special piece of ceramic art each, we're going to hand paint the glaze onto our pieces. Have you noticed that I keep calling our clay projects ceramic? That's because technically our clay is no longer clay. While it was being cooked at such a high temperature in the kiln, really hot, the clay actually went through a chemical change. That's why it turned white and became hardened like glass. Now the clay is called ceramic. Now that you've heard that word, I swear you're going to start hearing it everywhere. Anyway, let's talk about tips on glazing. Your job is to choose any color you like and paint the glaze on the ceramic piece. Just like paint, you need to clean your paintbrush in the doggy dish and use SpongeBob to dry and extra clean your brush every time you change colors. Try your very best not to mix up the different colors of glaze. Since glaze is made of silica and isn't really paint at all, the colors do not mix together like you might expect them to. You may find that there isn't a particular color that you wanted to use in our glaze cup selection. If that is the case, you might just have to pick the color that looks the closest to the one you want and just use that. For example, I didn't have a good avocado green color for my avocado, so I just used the greenish blue color instead. It's as close as I'm gonna get. Another way you could deal with the color problem is to use totally crazy and unexpected colors. What if I made a purple avocado instead? That might be even more interesting. Keep your mind open to the possibilities with the colors we have available. When you are glazing, it's really important to make sure you cover the entire piece. Besides the bottom, don't cover the bottom, but the rest of the piece, absolutely no peekaboo spots allowed. This is especially important if you're glazing a piece that you want to eat or drink out of, like this bowl. The glaze needs to completely waterproof the piece, or else drinking out of it might make you sick. A peekaboo spot means that the piece is not waterproofed. The best way to get rid of all the peekaboo spots is to use a lot of glaze and paint it on thick. Add extra layers of glaze. The more glaze that you add, the shinier and thicker the glaze will stay after it's fired. And I think you'll like the results a lot better. As important as it is to cover the whole piece with glaze, like I said, no peekaboo spots, it's just as important to not glaze the very bottom of the piece, the part of your project that touches the table when you put it down. If you glaze the bottom of your piece, that glaze might glue the piece to the kiln. No good. If you accidentally get some glaze on the bottom of your piece, it's okay. You can easily wipe it off with a wet paper towel or rag. You can also use a wet paper towel or rag to erase any other mistake you might make when glazing your piece. Have you also noticed that the glaze is not shiny at all yet? Don't worry, that's because it needs to go back in the kiln and get cooked again so that the silica in the glaze can melt into glass. So, all together, when you are glazing, you're going to use a paintbrush. You're going to clean your brush between colors. You're going to use any colors you want. Make sure there are no peekaboo spots at all. Paint it on thick. And do not glaze the bottom of any of your pieces. Now it's just one more time in the kiln and you get to take your beautiful ceramic masterpieces home.